Hello, Sat Gaming here. I'm here to deliver the second part of my How to Run Curse of Strahd series. If you haven't seen the first part, consider checking it out, though I will warn you that the audio quality isn't as good as this video. And if you're interested in continuing this series further, please subscribe to show your support. I have promised to talk about random encounters and how to run Village Barovia in Curse of Strahd, but before then, I do have some important disclaimers to make. Given the nature of this video, it does contain spoilers. If there was a way I could make this video spoiler-free, I certainly would, but I feel that this guide would not be complete without me talking over certain plot points, because I left a few out in my game, and they weren't big ones, but I am really embarrassed about it. So I'm going to try and help you not to make the same mistakes, or maybe even share some of the ways that I corrected my mistakes with y'all and see if y'all like. But, asides aside, how did I handle random encounters in my game? Well, I practiced something called pre-rolling, which, if you don't know what it is, you generally try to guess about where your PCs are going to go, or just ask them at the end of the session about where they plan on going next session, which is generally good practice anyway. And before the session, during prep, you roll the random encounters along that path as if they were going to go along that path. And basically what this lets you do is it makes you be able to prepare the story around that random encounter, or prepare a story around it, period. Now, I'd imagine that a really good DM could do this on the fly, but I am not a DM of that caliber, and I'm aware of that fact, so I'm going to make adjustments during prep and take that into consideration so I can still deliver the best game possible at my given skill level. What this also lets you do is, if you have new players like I did, and you roll an encounter that's way too hard during prep, you can just go ahead and roll a different one. Or if you get an encounter that you don't like narratively, or it just doesn't fit the location that you're at, you can simply switch it out for one that makes a lot more sense and will be a lot more satisfying to play through. This whole switching out random encounters isn't even a foreign concept in the module. It says that anytime you roll an encounter, you can just have them encounter Strahd or his minions instead, so the book encourages you do this, just not broadly applied to every single kind of encounter you do. And what I'm saying is that you should be willing to do that with any kind of encounter you could do. That's about all I have to say about random encounters, and now we can move on to the meat of this video, Village Barovia. Now, Village Barovia is here for a very particular reason. It has a fairly linear plotline, but it does have a few nodes that shouldn't be disregarded should the PCs choose to interact with them, like the Gertruda thing or Bildreth's Mercantile. But the main plotline to Barovia is that you should try to get Ismark to bring the PCs to Irina and have their father buried. And if you get them on this rail, they will eventually bring the party to Donovich. And that's the two main attractions to Village Barovia. And you can think of this questline as the beginning of a ramp that starts the players at level 3 in Village Barovia and ends with them on level 5 as they're leaving Vallaki. Thinking of the adventure in this manner can really give the first part of Curse of Strahd a lot of structure, and it really can drive the momentum forward and make the rest of the campaign really nice. Because by the time they've gotten to the end of Vallaki, they should have picked up on some of those other quest hooks and already be interested in exploring things that are beyond Vallaki. That's all the major stuff mostly talked about in this video. I just want to mention some of the little plot things you're going to not want to forget if you're interested in them. For an example, setting up the discovery of the reincarnation thing by talking about the Kolyana family portraits, how all the faces seem to cycle a little. That was a detail I really liked, and I did manage to remember. Also, I really do advise you prepare Donovich's dialogue beforehand. He needs to, or he doesn't really need to, but he could explain how his son Doru joined that revolution that attacked Strahd and then was beaten back, and that's how Doru became a vampire. That's really important to start setting up Strahd's facade as this really evil person. The story of Doru and Donovich and everything else in Village Barovia really make that clear. If Barovia had a catchphrase, it would be, Strahd's a shitty person, and here's why you should hate him. The church also makes for a really good direwolf attack that I can feel can be a nice little first combat of the game. if they didn't randomly encounter something on the way to Village Barovia. One final minor detail that you should probably include that I forgot to include but ended up incorporating later was the ghostly procession that comes out of the graveyards at the Church of Mourning in Barovia. I ended up just making it come out of Yester Hill after I forgot about it, which I thought was a pretty nice touch, because I also had some backstory stuff about how Strahd massacred some people on Yester Hill, which I think might be canon, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just, I got to incorporate the ghostly procession anyway, even though I forgot to put it here, so if you forget too, you can also do that. Beyond all that stuff that I've mentioned in this video, I can't think of much else to talk about with random encounters in Village Barovia, but if you think about something that I might have forgotten to mention, please put it in the comments below, because someone did that on my first video, and I really appreciated it and thought it made my content better, so thanks a million. That about wraps up this video, but if you want to see how I would have run Sarpool if my players didn't decide to go through the forest around it, you can come to the next video, and even come to see what I did instead of Sarpool to help with that correction. Also, I may or may not talk about Bone Grinder. I don't think it's big enough for its own video, so I'll probably throw it in there. But until then, subscribe if you want to see all that, and see you next time. It's been Sat Gaming. Have a good one.